Now what will it be? Death or exile?
Sink like a stone.
Pretty awesome, pretty impactful, and just the voices in this movement, just people of substance, people of honor, people of integrity, people who are high achievers at whatever it is they do with such passion. It's such a pleasure to sort of look back, all come together, and celebrate this even as we forge forward. So one of the big impacts of the movements, one of the things that put faces to names,
yes,
and really humanized the movement was a campaign that was started by a wonderful gentleman called Barry.
And I'm delighted to be joined by the visual inspiration of the movement, the person who organized a wonderful video message campaign, who energized the whole fandom earlier this year, got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people to send video messages into Twitter, tagging Warner Brothers, hoping that they would see our faces and realize that we are real human beings, the one and only Barry Monniquette.
Hi Chris, how are you going?
I'm good. So yeah, I just mentioned it. You really made a big impact earlier this year. How did this idea to come forward with a video message campaign begin? Because like I remember at the time you made like a message that it would be a good idea, but then you actually sat in front of the camera yourself and gave a really emotional video message, and I think it inspired everybody.
Well, right, tell you the truth, like, well, after I put out the message, as people was commenting and saying, I don't think I can do that. That sounds scary and stuff, and it was scary to me too. But I also believe at the same time, if you had a lead, you had to lead by example, and just like I said, if I want people to do it, I had to do it myself. So I say that way I had to do at the time, because I didn't believe at the time if I wanted people would never do it. If people could always say he can only talk, or and I said nah, I'd put my money in my mouth. So I did the video. It was really scary for me. I was really nervous. But I did it. Yeah.
Well, this is new territory for everybody, really, isn't it? And I was talking to Matt earlier as well, who was talking about how his expertise in making websites wasn't really that great before, but the fandom and the power of this film, what it means to us, kind of give us that little extra push, and that's another example of it. And like I was talking with Ramesh earlier, and he said he's
good.
He started with his art, just sending one picture out, and then the fandom has got a special kind of way to kind of encourage each other.
Must say Ramesh, he's the goat, right?
He's very good.
That guy is mad skillful. I every time I see, I say like, wow, why is this guy not working for some major corporation?
Absolutely. I think actually there's a lot of talent in this fandom, a hell of a lot of talent, and what we need is people to be able to bring that talent out. And what you did with your event was shocking, really. I mean, I volunteered to, because again, like with some of the other examples that I've mentioned, I had never, this time last year, I had never picked up a video editing software in my life.
Are you serious? But,
Yeah. January, I just started playing around with it, and like I said, it's when I volunteered to do the compilation of all the people that participated in your event, I thought, okay, we're gonna have like 100 people. I might cut them in a day or two. But it was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of it. I couldn't believe it. I thought, what have I let myself in for? But it was incredible. It was incredibly successful. You know that the video, the compilation video, has over 13,000 views currently on YouTube.
That's incredible to hear. I don't know. I mean, this just watching the video, and thanks to the surprise with Fiona at the end. I mean, that really that broke me down. I mean, like, wow. I say,
yeah, her appearance was I was trying to hold it as a surprise, but
yeah, but you're really good at keeping secrets. I was telling you, you're good at
well, listen, even Fiona heard about the event. I talked to her off Twitter, and when I told her about this event, she was so excited. She wanted to participate. So I said, let's keep it a secret and do it this way. And thankfully, I think the impact was pretty good. But again, it's this event that you created was just so imaginative, and it gave us a real boost at a time we needed one, because between SnyderCon and San Diego Comic-Con, we didn't really have... we had a bit of an empty space there, and you filled it with this incredible event.
Well, I kind of realized that at the time too, because I realized, because you know, I have a lot of rumors, and people were saying things was gonna happen then, and things gonna happen. You know, they're always people trying to predict when it's gonna happen. Yeah, well, so like people was getting like impatient. So I was saying something needed to be done to try and bring us together, because I had a little, you know, in fighting to one another. That was crazy. We don't need that. And I always believe that if we are one family, and I honestly believe that we are our family. Yes, it have the people that trying to push nonsense, you know, that they have them, and they will always have them. The naysayers, for whatever reason, for clicks, views, whatever. But I mean, family is family, and we the family know who we are.
Yeah.
So we don't need to acknowledge who are not, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I said I would like to do something. I was even talking to my wife about it. I say, because she's a supporter also. She's a quiet supporter, but she supports me.
Hey, we've said it all along. For every one person that's on Twitter, there's thousands and thousands that are off Twitter, and people don't believe us, but that's another example of it being true. Just tell me, how did you get to learn about this cut? When did you start following all the goings on? How did you initially start getting involved in following this movement?
Okay. So it all started before the movie even came out, and when they said that Jack stepped down, and I said, like, Jack stepped down. I mean, because I find it impossible. And then when I found what happened to his daughter, I said, all right, I probably understood. But I remember he made a quote saying that working was kind of cathartic, right? Like, that was helping him cope with his daughter's death. So, I mean, why step down? And then with just reading and all this stuff coming in, I said, like, something is wrong. And that same year, 2017, my daughter came, and I wasn't even able to go to the cinemas to watch Justice League, right?
So you were one of the lucky ones.
yeah, I was only lucky one. But I mean, I was saying, and I said, like, thank God my daughter born at that time, because I was able to not see that mess. Because I don't know how I would react if I had seen Henry Cavill's mouth like that at the start and anything. I would have just stripped. I said, what mess is this? And walk out the cinema.
Yeah, it was. So what about after it came out? When did you start hearing the rumblings of release the Snyder Cut?
It came through Chris Wong and Ping Pong Flicks.
Yes.
He's another guy. I mean, he also helped, like, in the videos too. When I with the whole campaign, I was bouncing ideas off of him, and also and I just. He brought it to light that time, and then people start hearing the buzz that Zach finished his movie, because I saw when Zach released the video with the principal photography and all that stuff. And you know what I mean? All this narrative people think is common sense. If he finished 100% principal photography, and he was even on his birthday working So Aquaman, I mean, this movie is almost done. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So then I said within myself, and then I started to follow Chris, and then I was never really on Twitter, and then I joined Twitter, and then I started. I found people like you.
Mm-hmm.
I found people like Will Rollins. I found it just and it just grew like Leonidas. I mean, well, hats off to that track.
Yeah.
That's fire, right?
Another great soldier there who created an incredible song.
And what I like about, and that we're able to distinguish about who's family and who's not family, is everybody who are family in any Snyder Cut are humble people. Anybody you see looking for fame, well, they're not part of the family, because look what Leonidas did with that track, and this guy is totally humble with it, and that track is awesome.
100%, 100%.
So, I mean, and the rest is history. I just following along. I made a lot of friends, and then I met Geraldo, who is an incredible musician. He and all, he along with Christian. That's I call him a brother from another mother.
Yeah, that boy has when we were working together on the compilation, I put that boy through the ringer because I kept changing, cutting the video, and I kept going, Geraldo, you mind making a change? You mind making a change? I thought he was going to kill me at one point. That boy works so hard. He works so hard.
You know, if I use martial arts, he look like he can literally kill you, right?
Yes, with a finger. Oh man, Barry, it was a pleasure speaking to you. I know everybody in the fandom is going to be really happy to hear your voice. I want to say personally, thank you very, very much for everything you have done. For continuing to support the movement, for using your voice, your tweets, and I appreciate it so much, and I'm sure everyone else appreciates it too.
Thank you. Well, can I say one more thing?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I know people believe that I am responsible or I is me, but I don't believe in me. I believe I couldn't have done this without you guys. Because I would have never even got the confidence to even do it without the inspiration from you guys and the follow through. So I will always say it's us. I mean, I was probably the first video, you know, in the sequence, but I mean, it's entirely us, and I so proud and honored to say I am part of this movement, and I hope one day we get this Snyder Cut, and I know one day we will get this Snyder Cut.
Barry Monica, what a gentleman, one of the nicest people of this movement. Genuinely, anyone who has had a discussion with him will know what a true gentleman he is. And we can't thank him enough for that event, which was a real powerful event, but it was something we needed as well, because we were actively campaigning to raise money for San Diego Comic-Con, but we still needed that community spirit. We needed that active buzz, and seeing the faces of the movement, seeing that there's real people behind this was vitally important. And it ticked us right into San Diego Comic-Con, and during that time, as mentioned, we were raising a lot of money. If memory serves correctly, $26,000 was raised, half of which, over $13,000, went to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. An incredible feat, a truly incredible feat by this incredible movement. You all should be very proud of what you've done. Every single cent, even every single retweet which resulted in a cent, was vital. So if you shared a tweet, if you tweeted yourself, if you gave $1, if you gave $5, if you bought a mug from like, I know Will Rollins was very involved in San Diego Comic-Con, and he brought out a lot of merchandise, and every single penny of that went in to help fund the campaigning, and also a contribution to the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention. Now, we know that all contributions matter. Every single little bit helps. But we also know that we live in a financially oriented world. And without the major financial contributions of these two incredibly generous people, we don't have the billboards, we don't have the bus stops, we don't have the plane banners, we don't have a financed ground team. These two people really make dreams happen, and I can't thank them enough. Here's my interview with Jeff and Hamad. And now I'm delighted to be joined by two stalwarts of the movement, two people that without their help and their support, none of the huge events that we have participated in altogether recently would be possible. We're talking about the billboards, the plane banners, the bus stops, the digital billboards in Times Square, all of these huge events that have helped us in getting our message out to the world. None of it happens without all of us who donated, but especially Jeff and Hamad. Guys, it's an honor and a privilege to have you and to hear your voice. And I know I can speak for everybody listening that they're really excited to hear from you guys. So, Hamad, tell us about your passion for this movement, and Jeff also chip in as well. Like, what drove you to be so integral to this movement?
Oh man! Oh boy! Like what an intro! I first of all, it's actually an honor. It's my honor to be in this podcast with you, the guy who introduced me to the movement, basically. Regarding my passion, that passion came all the way from Batman v Superman. Mm-hmm. Leaving the theater with my brother, and me just talking about the movie and like how much symbolism there is and what an amazing movie it is, and then finding out the reality of the situation, and then it's ridiculous. Like it was ridiculous what was happening, the amount of hate, but then seeing that there's love for this movie, that's where my passion really came. Seeing and knowing the people that loved Zack Snyder's work in the DCEU.
Yeah, I agree. I think this. So I thank you for the introduction.
You guys deserve it.
I come from the same place Hamad does in the respect that Vinaldo was the true, showed me the way. So thank you.
Nice. It's just all of us. We're all in this together. Now tell me, Jeff, when was the first time that you started hearing about Release the Snyder Cut and the possibility of this film existing?
So it was before I watched Justice League.
Yeah, you had a feeling beforehand, yeah?
Yeah, I was almost integrated to the movement. I am hopelessly hopeful though, and I thought maybe Joss Whedon was gonna. I know, I hate to say it. Maybe we were gonna get what Zack deserved us to have.
Well, it was promised to us, right? We were marketed a particular film. We paid our money in good faith. People came out beforehand and said it was just finishing off the original vision, and then we got what we got.
And then I saw the movie, yeah. And I'll tell you, it's night and day between like I left BvS, and you can ask my wife, my smile was ear to ear. Yeah. I was so satisfied, like finally this is really happening, like the story, the depth, the mythology, it's all coming together and it's gorgeous. And then Justice League was like so depressing. Like,
you don't know whether to laugh or cry, do you?
No, yeah, it's all one joke, big joke, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
you guys both mentioned Batman versus Superman, and I've actually heard you both talk on Pilly's podcast, Go Deep podcast, a brilliant podcast, I might add, talking about the Martha moment and how that moment brought you guys together as friends. I wonder if you'd like to elaborate on that for people listening to this podcast, Hamad.
Yeah. Well, I saw Jeff talk about his mother. It was having a sad moment,
Mm-hmm.
and I went to his DM straight because I've been through that too, and I just wanted to see if he wanted to talk,
Mm-hmm.
and we started talking, and it was we're talking about our mothers, and I just realized that Jeff's mother passed away from cancer.
Mm.
So it's the same as my mother. She passed away from breast cancer as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeff said something interesting. He said that both our mothers are amazing people. And then it came to my mind, like, wait, we're talking about our mothers like they both have the same name.
Yeah.
Basically. So our mothers both have the same name. And that made me realize, like, this superhero movie has connected me to this guy in Missouri.
Yeah, different part of the world.
Different part of the world, but in a level that I haven't been connected with in terms of like a passing away of a parent. That made me see the movie even more differently. Like I already loved the movie and I loved the Martha scene, but after that I realized this is not a scene. This is something else. It
transcends cinema, and seeing how Zach's films brings peoples together is really incredible. Like Jeff, what would you say about how Zach's films have brought so many people together? Because I can mention a lot of friends also that have been brought into my life from these films. What do you think it is about Zach's films that brings people together in this way?
I think he has a real good connection with telling a story that people can. I mean, these are superheroes, but when I watched Man of Steel, I felt like I had the ability to make those same decisions,
So he really has a way of making these superhumans being relatable to us, and I think that's really incredible, and we see it every day. Just how we've managed to get thousands of people from different corners of the world all following one movement. I think it's a testament to Zach, and actually, I just wanted to get onto a little bit of both of your efforts in terms of fundraising. So we've mentioned all the activities that we couldn't have done without you guys. What does charity mean to both of you in terms of your regular lives? What was it about this particular charity that you felt connected to in a way that you felt that you could contribute so generously? I mean, because both of you have contributed thousands of dollars, and I'm not exaggerating, literally thousands of dollars, which is mind blowing. Hamad, talk to me a little bit about what charity means to you.
Well, I take part of a lot of charities here locally, but it has a lot to do with, like, Yemen. It has to do a lot with Syria and Palestine. So this is the extent of like where my charity work is. But like with the Snyder Cut movement, you have to that charity, the
AFSP,
AFSP. It's an American charity dealing with an American American societal issue. However, like just like the thing that Zach has done to this world, the art that he brought to this world, I feel like I'm connected to that charity because of that, because of what Zach has been through, and it feels like I have to like help him, like I have to heal. So like not just Zach, but everyone who is affected by something similar that Zach went through.
And at the end of the day, we're all people. We're all human beings, aren't we? Whether we're on one side of the world or not. So tell me, Jeff, what are your hopes for the future? What do you think we can achieve?
Everything. I think if we just fight and fight the good fight against hate, we'll get the best solution. We just need to be together. And the best thing that can come from it is Zach to finish the 5-story arc of Superman with Justice League 2, and and I think we can do that. And I think there's hope still that, I mean, this happens all the time, just the way it didn't happen. It can happen. So
absolutely, I completely agree. So Jeff, give me the answer to the burning question that everyone wants to know the answer to. When you see the Snyder Cut, I'm not going to say if, I'm going to say when. When you see the Snyder Cut, are you going to see it with your Qatari brother? Are you guys going to meet up and watch the Snyder Cut together?
I hope. I'll tell you what, if I'll do the most I can just to make it to where the first time I watch it, it's with him. I'll tell you, and we've been throwing this idea around. It's just, we're going to rent a theater in Pasadena. And we're just going to see what happens.
Yeah. We're just going to go for it. Just rent it and see what happens. Hopefully the Snyder Cut gets released.
So the theater is guaranteed no matter what. It's what's going to play in the theater is the question.
Yeah.
That's right. It's like the Field of Dreams idea.
Well, listen, from the bottom of my heart, I wish for you both to one day experience this film together. I wish for us all to experience the film. And I know, and everyone else here knows, listening, that if and when we see the Snyder Cut, it will be in large part thanks to the generosity of you, Jeff, you, Hamad, and all of the people who have contributed even $5, $10, $1, $2. Every little bit matters. Every little bit helps. Even people who've not been able to contribute financially but have shared the message through their tweets and retweets to kind of spread awareness. It all helps. But more importantly than all of that, helping an important charity to help your fellow human being. It has been truly, truly incredible to watch how this fandom has come together for such an important goal. So, Jeff, Hamad, on behalf of everyone, thank you very much.
No, thank you.
That really touched me. Like that was a really special interview, and that reminds me of how powerful art is. And I'm talking about true art that has something to say. Art is something that has always been close to me and something I've always studied, not just artistic works, but the purpose of art and what art does for us as people. It helps us communicate very powerful, abstract ideas. And that's why it brings us together. And that's why this fandom is strong together. Mm-hmm. And it's brought even you and I together. We're neighbors and we're now good friends, but we would never have met each other if we hadn't found this shared connection over art that inspires us. And I can't say enough positive things about this experience being in this fandom.
Yeah.
But I can't say enough positive things about the numerous stories I've heard about the connections
that was
people
one
have
of
made.
that was one of many beautiful stories.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And yeah, our friendship has grown out of this movement as well. We live like 10 minutes away from each other, but we would never have met if not for this
fandom. Yeah.
That's one great thing that is brought into my life, and you don't want to thank Justice League, but if anything good came out of it, it's the connections it brought between human beings.
Absolutely.
So for every bad thing that comes to us, endure, there's always some positive that you can take out of it.
And that's one of the powerful ones.
Definitely. And they actually contributed incredibly generously to SDCC, and because of their kind of relationship, they were trying to one-up each other, and that was actually really exciting to see at the times. Like one day you see the total for SDCC project going up like by 1,000, you're like, whoa, and then the next minute there's another 1,000, there's like then another 1,000, it's like, what's going on here? So no, those two guys are incredible. And let's talk a little bit about San Diego Comic-Con and the hard work put in by people, because that project, I wasn't involved in it in any way, but very proud of all of the individuals that got together and did some incredible work. What were some of your favorite elements of that campaigning?
I mean, it's a lot of things. I can't just pin it into one thing, but let me first start with the organization of it. A lot of people who are not in the fandom, who are not part of the campaign, who are not part of the movement, just see a bunch of rowdy rabble rousers on the internet, and they didn't understand that as far and wide and different and diverse as we are, we are quite organized. Yeah. We are quite disciplined. We're quite diligent. And this was tangible proof of it. Yeah. I think a lot of people who didn't take the campaign seriously, who didn't take the movement seriously, who sneer and snicker and are snide about us, it forced them to see that we're a force to be reckoned with, you know.
I mean, there's loads of people to mention: Alessandro, Will, Nerd Queens, Ramesh did loads of beautiful art for the billboards.
Absolutely.
DTS, the legend DTS, he did the organizing for the plane banner, I believe. Like, this is all secondhand, so forgive me. I wasn't in the group, so forgive me if I've forgotten about anybody. But everybody who's in that group, absolutely stellar job. We're all very proud of you, and I'm sure everyone listening to this pod is very proud of you as well. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much.
And mine as well. My gratitude forever. And
actually, you inspired the spin-off. Let's call it a spin-off to SDCC.
Because what SDCC did was it was a proving ground.
Yes.
Like a proof of concept. Yes. And so you were able to take that and apply that to, you know, your next project.
To New York, yeah, because I saw some brilliant work on the ground by the Nerd Queens, and Jeff was there as well, and loads of people were holding banners and talking to people and taking photographs, and I think a lot of it was disrespected. Like, the credit that it deserved was not given, and I think this is a great opportunity to thank everyone who worked on the ground. Ben W was there, Lord Koj was there, everyone like giving hype on the ground. And for me, as a big supporter and fan of social activism, I think a ground presence is always needed. So that is one of the reasons why I felt it was important to invest in a ground game at New York. Obviously, the biggest headlines came from the plane banner, right? Mm-hmm. That was an incredible day. Like, well done to the team for organizing that. So I thought, okay, what we need to do something big and we need to do something small. And the big thing that was intended to get the headlines, the idea came about from what the guys did at SDCC. So what is New York famous for? Times Square, right? Yeah. So the idea was to find a affordable, because I was very conscious that people had given a lot of money for SDCC, and asking for more, I didn't want to ask for too much more. So we found the most affordable but strategically important billboard that we could do something with. And actually, surprisingly, it's opposite the billboard that WB always hire out to promote their films. Like Wonder Woman and BvS were promoted opposite the one that we hired out. And thousands of people use that tube station every day. So we picked the most busy day, and we wanted that to play all damn day on the Saturday, the busiest day of the Comic-Con. And thankfully, because of all of your generous donations, again, the likes of Jeff, Hamad, but every single person who gave a cent, thank you. You all made this possible. And we must give credit to Ramesh, who drew out the figures and the text and everything that you'll see. And huge shout out to an incredibly talented individual in this movement. I'm proud to call him my friend. It is Chris Dawson, who animated all of these images. Chris Dawson of the Black Suit Edition fame. We're all super excited to see that film. And yeah, great work by these guys to make a dream a reality. And then we go back to the ground game, and the ground game came about fantastically run by the Nerd Queens. I asked them to come on board. They organized everything. Ben W was there, like Gio was there on the ground. Every day we had someone there just taking that message, pounding the pavement, handheld billboards, taking loads of photographs. You're legends, very, very proud of you. And we have a little interview here with the man who was there on day one, on the Thursday, and he got the ball rolling, and boy did he do a good job. Here he is, the legend Leonidas.
So now I'm pleased to be joined by one of my closest friends that I met during my time in the movement. I'm very proud to introduce him. He's been involved in so much of the ground roots, campaigning, on the floor in cons, putting up flyers, tweeting all the time. He's a genuinely, incredibly generous person. Here he is. You know him by Leonidas, the legend.
What's up? Man, it's an honor to be here. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Great to finally meet you and talk to you. I just want to say thank you to everyone, involved in this campaign. It's been a long road, and you, my man, have been steering the ship this whole time, and
man, we're all in this together, right, and you have been a soldier. And when I say soldier, I mean truly ground root stuff. So tell me about your history in this thing. How did you kind of start hearing about the possibility of a Snyder Cut? Did you feel like the film wasn't a Snyder film from the outset, or did you kind of learn more, or what kind of got you involved?
Sure. Well, it's funny because just what led me to being on Twitter in the first place, because I'm not on any social media accounts. This is really not what I was about, was the backlash to BvS. So just like rewinding it a little bit back to then.
This is a common theme.
Yeah, the backlash was so utterly ridiculous from critics or whatever. I'm like, I had to do something. I'm like, I have to find people that feel the same way about the movies I do, because I feel like the world went mad with this movie. I'm like, I can't, so that led me to Twitter, and then I got involved. I met, a lot of like thousands of people, like, like right away I found a home, right away. Mm-hmm. And then that led us into Justice League and all the drama before that movie even released, obviously with Snyder's departure from the film with his personal tragedy. Yeah. And then bringing Whedon in, all the WB PR lines. He's not changing the tone, this and that.
Did you believe that at the time? Because I've had this discussion with Mick earlier, and obviously a lot of other people online, that at the time I was kind of in between. I kind of bought the party line, but I also felt something was going wrong. Something, especially the departure of Junkie XL from the score, was the big hint for me. But until that point, I kind of, how much could they change, really? But in the end, they did change a lot. How did you feel at that time?
Well, see, in a lot of these situations, I in a way, I'm more naive, but so that's why I feel like you do your thing on Twitter, because I think you have great instincts for things like that. And I always I always wait to see where you're going with it. So, and it's true. So I definitely wanted to believe that party line for a number of reasons. I thought the movie was going to be received well. And I thought these people were going to actually take the credit away from Snyder and give it to Whedon. Oh, Whedon saved the movie. Whedon did this. And I thought that's where they were going with it. So, which made me really fight for Justice League. But yeah, and I believe, I'm not sure who said it, but they specifically said that Snyder ordered the additional photography, the reshoots. We're seeing the PR lines. I don't know. So what do we
all the cast were being positive. I mean, even great supporters of this movement, like Ray Fisher, probably one of the two greatest supporters at the time, was saying the reshoots were minimal, if anything. I remember. Yes. And you understand they're in a very difficult position at that time, and they're obligated contractually. But you could tell that something wasn't right towards the run-up of the film.
The replacement of Junkie XL, big red flag. Yeah. And then obviously the biggest is the 2-hour runtime. I mean, I at that point I was like, dear God, I'm like, this is bad. I'm like, so, but nobody could have known to what extent we would delve into darkness with that movie.
So you saw the film, and then what was your experience in those few days after seeing the film?
So right when I saw the film, and I've only seen it one time, which was that day.
Same.
Yep. Leaving the theater, I felt rage. I couldn't believe. I mean, knew right away they destroyed this movie on him. Clearly wasn't a Zack Snyder film, but I didn't know to what extent. Like I just know that they screwed up the movie on him, and he would never have made a film like that, of that magnitude, that way. It was way too short. Nothing was developed. The plot, I mean, it was just, I mean, I don't even want to bring up the horrendous CGI on Henry Cavill's face. I mean, that doesn't even need to be stated, like how horrendous that was. And and it was just right away, I just knew that the film was tampered beyond, belief at that point. So then, I believe it was that same night, I went on Twitter, and then just coming across, and you, my man, are one of the prime people that I saw on Twitter that already started putting the pieces together. You were already dissecting it. You already, your film knowledge, you definitely have some great film knowledge. And I was real, you were breaking down the visual effects. This is not a Snyder, and, this isn't a Snyder shot. What are they doing? And I saw, you primarily, I remember, and, a lot of people were doing the same, but you primarily. So I'm like, wait, this is definitely true. So then I started following it closer. And and then a couple days after that, I guess, and then I found Fiona. We found Fiona on it, and that's when she just dropped the big hammer. She's like, "Listen, there's a friggin' Zack Snyder movie which ain't this that they didn't release. It's we got to fight for it, things of that nature, and that's it." And I believed every word of it because I knew that wasn't Snyder's film. So
the more you look at the evidence, the more abundantly clear it becomes, especially when you look back at early 2017. So you saw Zack Snyder post that he's down at CO3 with Stefan, which Larry Fong has explained as well. Like, this is how movies get their final look in a digital intermediate suite. And then you had the ADR, I think slightly before that actually, or around that time, you had the ADR posts of Gal Gadot, again posted by Snyder. So when you get to to this nitty gritty, and you actually know as well how Zack creates his films. So he works non-traditionally by he doesn't really do big reshoots because he edits whilst he films during principal photography, so he can do any air quotes reshoots during his principal photography. So if anyone knew how Snyder actually produced his films, this would be unquestionable. Like, it was obvious from the start that this film was way closer to being finished than was reported, that by most of the outlets who probably believed the party line.
And that's been the story. We've been fighting that ignorance this whole time, and
exactly,
and all just regular normal people could look this up and put the pieces together almost literally days after the theatrical film dropped. And we people like you are just putting the pieces together. It's not even your job to do
and so-called journalists can't do a simple internet search of how films are made or do a little bit of research. Is hilarious. How did this kind of feeling of injustice manifest itself into your campaigning efforts? What was the next step for you?
I just feel like I'm older in my life now, so I'm not a kid, and it's not like I've seen a ton of movies in my life. It is something I love and I enjoy, and I just I just saw something with Zack Snyder and these movies that I knew to me were special, and it was getting taken from me. And on a selfish note, that's what I felt, which made me really want to fight, to keep it, because I'm like, a guy like this ain't coming around. He don't grow on trees. A guy like this is going to do something like this. So I'm like, I know for a fact, like, without even looking at any evidence, that Zack Snyder, his real movie is way better than what was released. So then, I just saw the people kind of unanimously thinking like that and just getting on board. And I was going to be there. I was going to be at that moment, aside from the typical, things like my job, my family, there's nothing more important in my life than getting to the bottom of this.
Well, it's a noble cause. Like, we all have our lives, and we all have the things that are important to us and our families, our friends, our jobs, etc. But that doesn't mean that there's not time for fighting for something that we believe in as well. And this is definitely a worthy fight to be had and won. And I've seen you participating in tweets, in sending letters, and in posting flyers. I've seen that you've posted the wanted posters all over the place in New York. Tell us a little bit about your experience at New York Comic-Con, because you were you were actually the first person on the ground on the Thursday, right? So tell us what your experience was like at New York Comic-Con.
Yeah, that was quite the day. It was a great experience. That was my first time at New York Comic-Con. So and I was there by myself, so I had to learn the lay of the land or whatever. But I was like, I didn't go there to have fun. I wasn't there to sightsee. Like, I felt definitely I had a job. I don't want to let anybody down. I want to make it known that the Snyder Cut is present in this place, so.
And you definitely didn't let anyone down. I've seen all the pictures. We're going to have them in this video as well. You took some brilliant ones. You, Gio, the Nerd Queens, Ben, you all spent a day each in the con on the floor with your banners and the flyers handing out. Tell us something about the experience that you had there. What were the kind of interactions you had with other con goers? Were they positive? Were they lukewarm? Were they negative? What was the feeling like there?
Sure. First, a shout out to my man Mick D, because he helped me with the sign and getting the sign printed out and all that, because that was a huge hit.
Absolutely.
I gotta say, if you could feel like a vibe in a place, like if you could feel and sense something that you can't like speak or whatever, and just like an energy around you, I felt a positive energy when I was there with the Snyder Cut. And I was surprised by that. I was actually surprised. I did not think people were going to respond that way, which way they did. So I don't even know how many people I talked to. Maybe 80. Maybe I don't even remember. I wasn't counting. But I got to say, when I approached people, they came up to me, just pure enthusiasm most of the way, like congratulating me, thanking me. You're doing a noble thing. Like this one guy literally hugged me because I could see the frustration in his face, that he's like, man, people don't, that BvS was amazing. And I just know it. Like I could see, I share that hurt, that passion, and I could see it in him. And he's like, you don't know what you're doing for us. And that's what I was feeling a lot, most of the way.
Because we were talking in the days before, where we were organizing this thing, about what would happen if you felt any intimidation or anything like that. And I think you were a bit worried about that as well, weren't you? But I was confident that it would be okay, because generally the people that attend conventions, they're real fans. They're not just like internet trolls. So that's why probably I felt a bit more confident in the fact that you wouldn't get any kind of aggression or anything like that. And it turns out that your experience was pretty good, right?
Yes, it was good, and you were definitely right about that. And I was worried. How I was going to get, the responses towards me. But people just loved. And I talked a lot. Like everyone that I met, like I probably could have met a lot more people, but I made sure every single person I met, I gave them a pamphlet. I walked them through, the ForSnyderCut website, our RT Snydercut online. I made sure they knew everything what we're about, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, really giving them the whole scoop of everything. So I taught, everyone left upon talking to me like with really understanding what we're about. And I just got, it was just an incredible day. I met Liz Wonder, who was incredible. She was a big fan and supporter of the Snyder Cut. I was very happy with just the response and the positivity, because, I know what we do online, and, maybe we're at this point, it's like pop culture, Snyder Cut is known, but I still wasn't expecting that response, that vibe.
Yeah.
And it was positive. It was really, so I'm happy to report that, like, for people that weren't there, that people want to see this movie. So
absolutely. Like for every one of us that's on Twitter, there's thousands and thousands offline. Like people don't understand that just because there's a few people on a social media platform that organize and do things. It doesn't mean that it's only limited to that. People forget that 180,000 people signed that petition.
Yes, absolutely.
180,000. So and for every one of those that signed a petition, there's hundreds more that would love to watch this film, and we're going to fight to make sure that they see it. So you were in New York Comic Con because you're a local. Did you manage to see the big billboard in person?
Oh yeah, I did.
You did.
I drove down because I don't live in the city, but a little bit north of the city. But I had to go. I mean, I made a special trip to go down there, and I went at night because I wanted to see it at night because a lot of guys were taking shots of the day shots at it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I got to see this thing at night, how it looks. It's spectacular. It was, I mean, I felt so, I couldn't have felt more proud than seeing that, you know, on a billboard in New York City. It's something that I'm so like fortunate to have seen, you know, and God bless, you know, you guys coming up with that tremendous idea.
Honestly, you lived something that that a lot of us can only dream about. Cause,
right. Yeah.
I've seen that video 100 times.
Right.
But I could only imagine what it was like to see it on the big digital billboard. So, man, it's good to know that it looked good and you guys enjoyed it.
It looked fantastic, and people were looking up at it, and like I was overhearing people like, oh, look, it's gonna come out right now. Look, like you know, like people I wasn't even like, and I just was so, you know, I was so like thrilled by that. The Snyder Cut movement is no joke. Like, you know, we're the real deal, and it proved it. You know, we proved it that this whole time. This, you know,
absolutely, and another thing that shows that we're no joke is a music video that was published recently, an incredible song with some lyrics that are straight fire, right? I've heard that over 100 times now. It is fantastic. Tell me a little bit about the history of this song, how it came about, who was involved.
Well, thank you so much for that. And so my man Grand Royal on Twitter, we didn't know each other, you know, at the time, but he's a big supporter of the movement. And, you know, it's just like a freak thing. Like I was online and I was just kind of tweeting some gibberish, some nonsense, like some song lyrics or whatever I was just coming up with at the time, just to screw around basically. And he is a producer, and he's a great, you know, beat maker and everything. And I guess he was following me or something, or he saw, you know, my tweet just like of my lyrics, just nonsense I was typing. And he's like, yo, contact me. He's like, you rap or whatever, you're into music making. And then and we just kind of started talking from there. And then he gave me the idea. He's like, well, listen, I have this beat, you know, I'm making. It was his idea really for the song. It was, it was his beat. He played me the beat that he made, and it was. I mean, I just felt a rush, you know, come over me. It was like, damn, like I wanted to do the song. So it was funny because originally I was gonna be the vocal, the rapper on it. So, so, you know, like it's something I haven't done for a long time or whatever. But I was gonna try to do it, and you know, like most important thing is I wanted it to sound good and hit our points. And definitely make a huge impact or whatever. That was my focus. So me and him were bouncing ideas together, and I came up with basically 3 verses for the song. But anyways, what ended up eventually happening was I consulted my friend Maiko Alcaro, who ended up being the rapper on the song, and who's, you know, a great rapper. This is what he does. This is his thing. And kind of going over, you know, getting some advice with him, and then, you know, he just basically volunteered to do the song. So that's so my role in this was basically walking my friend who you know, you wouldn't know by his lyrics, but he doesn't know anything about the Snyder movement at all. Like he didn't know anything. So I sat down with him and we went over everything and gave him all the talking points, whatever. And from all that, you know, he made a masterpiece out of it. And,
well, his delivery was incredible, and you wouldn't believe that that he wasn't involved or he didn't know anything about it, because he said every line with such passion and accuracy, like for real, like what a great performance. And the beat as well, the music created was, because you guys had been teasing that for a while, and when the first time that I heard that on Twitter, that beat, which was the initial post, I was like, damn, this sounds good. And it all came together so well, and it's now at something like 80,000 or 81,000 views on YouTube, and that's just done. Because for every new person that hears it, and sees the lyrics and reads them and understands what really happened, you know, that's an extra person to the movement. And I'm sure that song alone brought hundreds more supporters to the movement.
100%, and I just want to give a shout out to Krypton Cage. He helped master and mix the song. So it took we were actually originally going to drop this closer to San Diego Comic-Con, or like we just had complications. Like it's hard collaborating when you're not in the same place. We were all scattered and schedules weren't working out and things, you know, so it just took that long. And then there was a time where I didn't think we would be able to get it done. And then let's not forget to mention one of the most important aspects to the song is the video that you saved at the end at the last minute, because we were thinking of having a video, but we couldn't get it going. We couldn't, and then you came in, and you know, and I just say, man, it touched. The video touched my heart, man. Like when listening to that and seeing the video, you nailed every. I mean, I can't even say anything more. It was incredible, and thank you so much.
Song,
for that,
Nah, you're very welcome. Like, listen, the song was so good. And you shared it with me a couple of days beforehand, and my fear was to simply like do it justice, because you're releasing a great song, right? And I wanted people to not be distracted by a bad video, you know what I mean? I wanted the focus to be on the song, and thankfully I've had no complaints, so it's been good.
Thank you so much.
I've read those lyrics so many times, like it's just damn, like it's so perfect. And there's one little bit at the end as well where there is a little voice appears.
Yep.
Asking for release the Snyder Cut, and I believe that's Ray Porter's Dark Side voice, right?
That's right. That is Mr. Ray Porter's voice.
What a guy he is.
And that's what Grand Royal definitely, he came up with that idea. He's like, yo, let's put Ray's voice in the song, and that was right when Ray Porter. That's when he said it online. He was that was for San Diego Comic-Con, and it was just like he got. You guys broke the story. He's Dark Side, and he just became a big part of our movement. I thought, and then this is why we're doing what we're doing for guys like Ray Porter. Like,
absolutely, all the people that were caught and who didn't get the recognition that they deserved. And now everyone who will have heard the song and maybe wasn't familiar with the movement will hear that voice and will think, whoa, what is that? And who was that? And do their own little investigation, and it all feeds back into the big family of the Snyder Cut movement. So fantastic job, man.
Thank you so much. I know. I just want to say, my friend, the song takes you, it definitely takes you through, like, what we've all been through and experienced with this whole ordeal. And, it hits home, I think, for us. And, it's like on a war, it's like a war song. I like that, we're here to, we're not backing down, one of those. We're not backing, so I'm just very fortunate to be a part of this. And,
well, you're a valued and valuable member, and I'm sure everyone listening to this will be so delighted to have heard your experience and heard your voice, and thank you for sharing your story. And let's get this done, man.
That's right, bro. That's what we're here for. I think we're doing a great job. I don't know. I feel the buzz. We're at an all-time high, man. I think we're making our way to the finish line. Hopefully.
I think we're close as well, man. I think we're close. Yeah. Cool, man. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, Chris. Thank you so much, bro. It was an honor and a pleasure.
You too. Thanks, man. Peace.
All right, brother. Alrighty.
Oh, wow. Thanks, Leonidas. Thanks for inspiring us. Thanks for, creating a song. Do you know how epic that is?
It's crazy. The talent in this movement.
I mean, it's for a movement to inspire such creativity. And it's like a feedback loop. Zack Snyder inspires us. The artists who create the art inspire us. And in turn, we create art that inspires them. I remember having a conversation with Larry Fong about this, and he said that, our artistic expressions inspire them, but it's the same way that they inspired us. So it's this beautiful feedback loop of positivity and creativity, and it's just another feather in the cap of
it made big waves, man. Like thousands of views on YouTube as well. And it was and every lyric was delivered with passion, and every lyric was written with pure accuracy.
Absolutely.
Like, fantastic.
Absolutely. And this just reminds me of the activism of the fandom, of the passion, of all the effort, the blood, sweat, and tears, and just reminds me of like the letter campaign to Anne Sarnoff. It was coordinated. People followed the instructions. People, wrote in their own handwriting. Some people had to have things printed out, but it was all done to send this powerful, heartfelt message. And that's something that's so important and so evident in this movement.
Well,
the amount of heart.
It's part of the DNA of this movement.
Yes, it is.
Since the Twitter campaigns, like, we didn't just stop there. We went into writing letters to Walter Hamada last year, and I think that was the first time I picked up a fountain pen in like 10 years since I left school, right? So a lot of us were very creative. Others, like me, just wrote down something. We sent a letter, and then going into the winter, we actually made a strategic phone call campaign, and we actually spoke to the personal assistants of Toby Emmerich, of Walter Hamada, even the former head Kevin Sujihara, who departed, and it's because of his departure that Anne Sarnoff was hired for the posts. And when that announcement was made, Twitter blew up. The movement in a way that had never been done before. So, and as a reminder, when we did our first organized Twitter campaign, we trended with 14,000 tweets. When we as a community got together after Anne Sarnoff was hired, we fired off 50,000 tweets. That was stunning. Absolutely. That was a night I will never forget.
Absolutely.
And actually, we then wrote our letters to Anne, and obviously did our Times Square thing that we've discussed, and our New York Comic Con thing. But we've actually taken it a level up. In this past week, we experienced something like never before. I heard some whispers on Friday morning, and I knew that it was necessary to help contribute to creating some hype on that Friday. I've never had the electricity flow through my body in that way, like, ever before.
So violently and passionately.
It was crazy. We were given 1 hour's notice by RTSC, and they said, in 1 hour we go, and we've got to go hard. And that coincided with exactly what I'd heard. A few other people were delivering that message as well. This was important, and it was very, very important, and it still is. As we're recording now, we're in the process of doing some mini events to keep us ticking over to the weekend celebration. And on the event where we did Wonder Woman, celebrated Gal Gadot and Wonder Woman's role in Justice League, we got, in the space of 1 hour, 34,000 tweets. To put that into context, on the Friday where all the buzz was happening, on the whole day we got 84,000, or I think it was 84 or 85,000 tweets. In 1 hour we got 34,000 tweets. This movement knows we are in the end game now, no pun intended. We are close. There is something happening, And by the time you listen to this, we will be doing apparently an event on Sunday that RT Snyder Cut has organized, and all of us at the Film Exiles, I know all of you listening, you will be there at your keyboards, posting your art, and just let's take this home, yeah? Let's take this home.
Absolutely. I'd just like to say to all the fans, wherever you are, whoever you are, be strong. Maintain your passion. You are powerful. You are being heard. As you can see, Zack Snyder continues to post and encourage this movement. He feels our passion. He appreciates it. He wants it to continue. Do not relent. As a matter of fact, go even harder, because when you're running a race, I remember when I used to run in high school, track and field. I ran the 400 and I was really good. Not to pat my back. But one thing that you do is that last 100 meters, you go even harder than you've been going. You exhaust every single fiber of your body and your spirit pushes you beyond the finish line. So we're there. We are in the end game.
We're in the final stretch.
We're in the final stretch.
The final stretch is
the final
here,
stretch is,
and really, people need to be very proud of what they've achieved. But also, until that film is announced, we have won nothing.
Exactly.
Even if deals have been done or agreements have been made, until it is announced publicly, they can go back.
Exactly.
So if after all our campaigning, and especially on Sunday where I believe that we are gonna shake the internet like it's never been shook before, if after Sunday we don't immediately get an announcement, don't take it badly. It's a challenge that the next time we go even harder, we should always be trying to one-up ourselves. We are our own competition, and we can win this, and we will win this.
We will. We have been heard, and we will continue to be heard. You cannot hide a light under a bushel. And, you know, I'm so proud to be part of this fandom, and I'm so proud of all the things that we have, you know, coming towards us. Keep on raising awareness, keep on contributing, raising money, retweeting, tweeting, telling your friends about it. Keep on making sure that the studio hears your voice and knows that there is a huge void that they need to fill. There is a huge, you know, chasm that needs to be closed, and there needs to be closure. And until they do so, we will not be silent.
Look how far we've come. We started with one tweet. We started with one tweet from Movie Buff 100. Released the Snyder Cut on November 21st, 2017. Fast forward 2 years, and we are not just one tweet. We are thousands and thousands
Hundreds
of tweets.
of thousands at this point in time.
Every single person, from the bottom of my heart, every single person that has participated in these last 2 years, I thank you so much. You will never know what you mean to me. You will never know what you mean to Zach. The words are not there. They don't exist for what we have all done together. Thank you.
Oh, the times they are changing.